All right, I see it's 9 o'clock, so I will call the November 18th, 2020 Chairs meeting to order and remind everyone that this is being video conferenced and recorded. So welcome everyone who's already here, and thank you all for all the committee work that's going on. It's hard to keep up with all the agendas from each of you, and I know that we're at a pace, each and every one of you. I want to just reference to the number of vacancies that we have on the committees, of which you are well aware. The select board and the select board office have been reviewing the process for filling committee vacancies, as well as the recruitment strategies. And not unlike a lot of the nonprofits who are having difficulty getting long-term volunteers, there just are a lot of people who don't want to make that long-term commitment. They're happy to come in for specific events, but not necessarily for long-term committee assignments. So we're trying to review that. We also need your help and the public's help in terms of reaching out to groups that you maybe not necessarily would reach out to, trying to encourage people to join the committee structure. And you above all can attest to how rewarding this experience is in the long run. I also asked Jeremy, and I think he's already done it, to send out to all the chairs a copy of the open meeting laws from January 2018, which is in everyone's committee handbook, but just to call their attention, both the chairs and hopefully committee members, to review that, as well as to the second document, which was released and post-COVID, which lifted some of the restrictions from the OML and took into account Zoom and some other things that we needed to do. So I'm asking the chairs as well as the committees to please review that. We have had a couple of instances where the open meeting law has been challenged. And in some cases, it's because some meetings proceeded without a quorum. And the quorum is really a quorum of the full membership of the committee that was indicated in the charge versus a quorum of the people who usually come or who are already appointed. So that's one thing that I hope you'll call your committee's attention to. And then the other thing that we've run into is that one of them, when it became apparent that one of the committees had proceeded without a quorum, Kari did check that out with the state, and we were asked to totally repeat that meeting, full discussion and all, in order for it to be considered a valid meeting. So as versed as we think we all are, there's so many nuances and things that just catch you short because you're focused on business and your agenda and trying to get things done. So please ask everybody to review that. It just doesn't hurt to do so. So with that, I'm anxious to hear where everyone is on their committees, and I'll have to proceed in terms of how I see it on the screen. So Carlin, are you representing the committee this morning?
I am. I'm representing the PEG Access Advisory Committee, and I have a short report for you.
Thank you.
I have 5 little points. First, we have 2 vacancies on our committee, and we're looking to fill them. Second, we've invited our Comcast representative to attend our next PEG Access meeting to give us an update on all things Comcast as it relates to Concord. Third, the committee voted to urge the town to fill the vacant education coordinator position at the town's studio, Minuteman Media Network. This is a position that's been approved. There's funding exists, and the school superintendent has expressed a need for this education coordinator. It just hasn't been filled yet, so the committee voted to say, yes, please go ahead and hire this spot. It's a position that would help students, teachers, and adults in the community learn how to use MMN's video equipment and how to make videos. 4th, I was asked to bring a message to this particular meeting to encourage all chairs of committees to post their meetings on Minuteman Media Network website as soon as possible. If you have any questions, contact me or Phil Lupsevich, who's the new station manager for MMN. And number 5, some of our members are concerned about getting internet access to all citizens. We've discovered in our last survey that watching the MMN programming, including this particular meeting, is about half of our viewers use the internet to watch programs. So we're trying to look to see also who has broadband connections in town. So that's my very brief report.
Carlin, thank you. When is Comcast coming to your meeting?
I don't have a confirmation, but it should be the next meeting, which I think is December, hold on, December 10. I'll let you know, Linda, in particular, if he says yes. We've asked him for that meeting. If not December, then it would be the first meeting we have in January. Our meetings are on the second Thursday morning of every month at 9 o'clock.
Okay, thank you very much. Bill. Yes. You're on mute.
So this is my first meeting for attending. I'm the vice chair, and David Carr has not been able to make the meetings. You may have heard this before, but very briefly, I'll say that you probably know the tax relief. I'm on the Tax Fairness Committee. The committee's there is to monitor and assess the senior discount, essentially, that the town has approved at town meeting for seniors for tax relief on property taxes if they meet certain criteria. And the main thing this year is, as you may recall, a town meeting, it was passed in the state legislature with and it had to be for a 3-year period. That period is coming to an end. At the last town meeting, a petition was passed asking the state legislature to make this permanent in Concord. So that's been turned over to the Board of Trustees. The board, I believe, is working on it. And Linda, you can speak to that. So our work this year is going to be to monitor the present last year of this process. And then if by some chance the state legislature doesn't act on it in time, we'll probably put a petition at town meeting asking for for us to approve of it again to be applied retroactively once the state legislature approves of the legislation. That's it. That's it for us.
Bill, you said Board of Trustees. Did you mean Select Board?
I say board. I'm a retired head of school. That's right. The Select Board. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, I'll just add to that and just say that it has been confirmed that the Hill has received our sealed and raised copy of the home rule petitions. They are well aware of the time press on this particular home rule petition. And so all we can do at this point is follow it, and they've committed to follow through as well. So we'll hope for the best. Yeah. Paul.
Hi, good morning, everyone. So I'm representing the NMI StarMet Reuse Planning Committee. So we're finishing up the first phase of our activity, which is the preparation of our report to the Select Board. That report is well in progress right now. It's anticipated it's going to go to the committee by early December for review. We will be reaching out to a number of committees, a number of you on briefings, as we did at the beginning. We'll have to arrange for little slivers of agendas of your December meeting, hopefully. So we'll be reaching out. Then that report will go out for public comment in January and hopefully to the Select Board in early March. So that's on schedule. And that report, just briefly, will outline the process of the committee, what we went through in terms of getting public comment, our internal deliberations, to come up with a series of options for the reuse of that 46-acre site, the recommendations from the committee, and outlining next steps. Because as I said, is a long-term planning and coordination effort, and it's just starting. It's going to go on for the next few years as we contemplate how that parcel might be used in conjunction with other parcels around town. So that's where we are right now, finishing that report.
Thanks, Paul. Carmen.
Good morning. I don't have much to report except that we do have a vacancy on the Finance Committee. Anybody who's interested in that, I'd love to have some more green cards. Linda, if it's possible to add that vacancy to the list of vacancies on the town website, that would be marvelous.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Richard.
Good morning. First of all, at the last meeting I announced we had an opening, and soon after we got a new candidate for our committee, the Bruce Freeman Rail Trail Committee, and we'll be glad to welcome her to our next meeting on December 3rd. The construction of the bridge, the final section in Concord, is going well. Anticipated completion is sometime in the fall of 2022. Sudbury also has approved the purchase of the rail bed from CSX and has reestablished their task force, and we've met with them in terms of our final section in Concord by the White Pond area. And in that regard, we're also hosting a session with the abutters to basically review the plans that have been approved and answer any questions they have as we move into the final phases of engineering that last section of the trail. In terms of the operation of the trail, there have been some minor issues here or there, but overall it's being used remarkably well. We've also working with the town planning department on the possibility of a grant that would allow us to be able to have a device installed that would count how many people are using the trail, and this device is capable of distinguishing whether you're a walker or a person on a bike. I think that's about all we have for right now. We're going to be moving forward into the future with our new committee member, and again, thank you to whoever we made the connection to get us up to our quorum.
Good. And Richard, I don't know if you heard the earlier comments, but I know that your committee still has some vacancies that they need to fill. And so recently, some open meeting law materials were sent to all the chairs with the hope that the committees will review that and also continue to work on filling those vacancies as we all are at the town level. So
right.
All the best with that.
Thank you.
Okay. Elizabeth Eckers, more. Okay, let's see here. Are you on mute, Elizabeth?
Oh, sorry, I froze there for a second. Hi.
Okay.
I'm back. So zoning board, not a ton to report from us either. We are considering a recommendation from the planning board to amend the special permit for development in West Concord on Beharrell Street to change the mixed use development of the new building to be more residential and less retail. And also we will be doing having a joint meeting with the planning board to consider some zoning tweaks, and sounds like one thing we're going to be talking about is the FAR and how well it is working. That's it for me.
So Elizabeth, that change that you're talking about would be coming to town meeting, next town meeting as a zoning change?
Sorry, I froze again. I'm sorry, it's my internet.
So that your reference to Beharrell Street and a zoning change would come to the next town meeting? Okay.
We're meeting with the planning board in December to kind of see if there's anything that the planning board wants to bring to town meeting. Nothing has been decided yet, but it's just kind of an attempt for the two boards to meet and see where what issues we can work out together, if there are anything that is brought. And Beharrell Street is a special amendment. We'll be voting on it at our next meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Peter Good morning, Peter Noble.
Good morning, Linda. Thank you. Peter Nobley, HDC. Not a lot to report. We do have a public meeting tomorrow night to consider a potential new historic district up at Jenny Dugan Road. It's a neighborhood of deck homes, or a lot of deck homes up there. So we're having an informational meeting, which you're all welcome to attend at 7 o'clock. Actually, it'll be at 7:30 tomorrow evening. And other than that, much the same. We got past the library parking vote, and we've had a couple of other long discussions, but we have one vacancy on the commission right now.
All right, thank you, Peter.
Welcome.
Melissa.
Good morning. I think I came from the farthest. I am in Utah in a basement, so I want credit. First of all, I represent the Historical Commission, and we have no vacancies, I'm pleased to say. The things that we are working on, I think I've mentioned in the past, is our demolition delay bylaw amendments. We had it run by town council, who's had some very helpful, constructive changes that we have adopted. We will continue to work on that. He also suggested that in the case of one particular change, we might have another amendment in hand, just in case we need, there's a big fight on the floor. The other thing, we had issued a delay on the house at 1710 Lowell Road, which is the farthest property out on the Carlisle line, and I've reached out to a couple potential buyers. We would very much like to preserve this home. It has a lot of historic value to actually both Concord and Carlisle, and we have had some very good conversations with two prospective buyers. So, that's looking good. In regard to the demolition delay bylaw, I kind of would like to direct your attention to a property at 612 Barrett's Mill Road, where we were very disappointed. This was the Colonel James Barrett Jr., Colonel Barrett's son's home. Many of you may be aware of it. It had 2 doors, 3 bays. It was just kind of at the curve of Barrett's Mill on the way out towards Route 2. And we had been under the impression that they were not going to destroy the whole house. In fact, save our heritage, preserve 3 of the rooms. But in fact, all but one wall of the house was torn down. It did not invoke the demolition delay bylaw because our bylaw states total demolition. So that's, indicates one of the weaknesses of our bylaw, that we really cannot protect such an historic property. So that is something that, we know down the road, there's some other improvements to this bylaw we will attempt to get through town meeting, but we feel we should go incrementally.
Hey, Melissa, sorry, can I speak to that property? Zoning board also discussed that because it seemed to be potentially a violation of the special permit that we issued. So maybe we can talk about that offline.
Well, okay, because Save Our Heritage, I think was kind of duped on this. They had been under the impression that their work would be amplified by what the owners intended or developers intended to do. So I'd be interested, And I
went back and listened to a meeting we had previously where we amended their permit to allow them to take the roof off, but we were also feeling a little bit duped on what happened. So I don't know if we want to talk about that offline, but.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
And then the only other thing, we had planned an elaborate presentation of preservation awards for May of this year. Of course, we could not hold it. So we're thinking of holding it maybe in the fall of 2021. It kind of all depends on how this vaccine goes. A lot of this, the effort on this preservation award is to bring attention to the housing stock here in Concord and the importance of historic preservation. We had an out-of-town speaker. So we will be working on that. I think that's about it. Thank you.
That's a lot. Be safe wherever you are. Okay.
I am.
Yeah, good.
But there's COVID here too.
Okay, be well. Tom Kearns.
Thank you, Linda. I represent the Community Preservation Committee, and we have no vacancies, I'm pleased to report. We have 15 applications this year, totaling about $2.2 million. And our available funding is about 1.7, so we've got about a $500,000 gap So we've got a lot of hard work to do. The committee has been meeting nearly every week this fall, so a lot of hard work, and we'll continue through mid-December, meeting essentially weekly, and yeah, all going well. But a lot of work. I think of our 15 applications, 12 are from the town, and then 3 others.
Thanks, Tom. I know this is a very busy time of year for your committee.
It sure is.
Carol Ann.
Hi, I'm Carol Ann Hannon, Chair of the Council on Aging Board. The Council on Aging is up and running. They had a flu clinic in October that went very well. 143 seniors came for their flu vaccine. They've started again their program on buried treasures, which deals with clutter and hoarding. They've added a quilting group that seems to be popular. They're also adding to their bereavement support groups. They normally run this about once or twice a year, and they're going to try to run it more often because of the difficulties with COVID and the losses and how people are dealing with those losses. They've also changed their policy on out of town and under 60 people attending their events to be a little less restrictive in case there are openings in events and people from outside of Concord want to attend. So I think we're very happy about that. There's some issue about the tax preparation group and whether they will be able to provide services for taxes for 2020. They're still working on that. We also discussed whether we should have representatives attending other committee and board meetings. So if any of you think that the Council on Aging should be represented at your meetings, could you let us know, because we would like to attend, but we will be considering. Okay, Carlin, I see you.
Thanks.
Okay, and that's about it.
Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you, Carol. Doug.
I represent the CHDC. We're continuing to work on Junction Village behind the prison, which is going forward. We have yet to finalize the ground lease, but we're working on it. 930 Main Street, which is a house across Route 2, is proceeding with Habitat for Humanity from Lowell to be made into a duplex. We're also, we have an oar in the water on the StarMet site in West Concord as to options we think might be good for that site. And we continue our small gifts program to help people who want to fix their roofs and foundations and that kind of thing. Nothing else really.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Terry, Jim, sorry.
Thanks. I'm Jim Terry, Public Works Commission. We're getting ready for winter. And that's about the theme of things at this time.
I think you get the award for brevity. Thank you. Good. Okay. Lise. Oh, you're on mute.
Okay. Lise Holdorf, Agriculture Committee. This is my first chair breakfast. So we just filled one vacancy on the committee, and I believe we have one more to fill, but we have several candidates who have been coming to meetings, so we're confident we'll be able to fill that last vacancy. We do 2 kind of outreach events every year, the Ag Day Farmers Market in September, and we do a spring forum in March. So we modified our market this year due to the pandemic, and we are now working on coming up with an alternative plan for our spring forum outreach event. And I think that's about it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. Did you receive the recent communication from Jeremy for the open meeting law and for your committee to review that?
I haven't seen it, but I'll go back through my emails.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. Mary.
Thanks, Linda. Hi, everyone. I'm Mary Hartman. I'm the chair of the Finance Committee. The Finance Committee is taking advantage of the fact that the town meeting was delayed in order to get a deeper understanding of the budget. So in that regard, we've done two things. We've started a debt subcommittee, which is looking at the debt portion of our budget, which is running about 10% right now. But more importantly, one of the responsibilities of the Finance Committee is to project the impact on property taxes for 5 years going forward. And because we don't have a good handle on capital spending and the impact on debt, we're not doing a really good job of doing that forecast. So we're trying to get a better understanding on that so we can in fact do a better job projecting forward our property tax increases over the next 5 years. On the operating side of the budget, we're doing work with the school committee. We're going to have a joint workshop with them in December, where we're going to really just basically get a feel for some of the terms we use when we're doing the budget, things like circuit breaker and SPED and OPED and PEB and things like that, that sometimes when we're talking about the budgets, we kind of, get wedged because we don't understand some of the terms. So we're trying to do the workshop now so that we have a better understanding of the terminology so that we're in better shape when we do the heavy lifting, which is in January when we start putting together our FY22 budget. So I guess what you'd say is right now, we're really just getting ready for all the work that we've got to do with the town and the schools in January, working on FY22, which is going to be kind of tough because there's so many unknowns, as you know. But so that's where we're at.
Thank you, Mary. Okay, Jean.
Good morning, Jean Goldsberry from the Commission on Disabilities. So at our last meeting, we discussed again our concerns about the plan for parking at the library. Several of our members did attend the HDC meeting, and we're disappointed about what was finally decided in terms of parking at the library, but it does barely meet the ADA. So that's as far as we can go with it. We also have been discussing over the last few meetings town accommodations for people who are deaf and hard of hearing. There's a group in town who's presented a very well-written report to us. And we also had someone ask about whether there could be some training in schools for just about disabilities in general. And I did some research on that and sent some info about an Understanding Disabilities curriculum to Dr. Hunter, and she emailed me back saying, thank you very much. She's going to look into it for our schools, which would be a real benefit. I think what we as a committee have seen is that there's, and with some people, not a lot of understanding of disabilities and the kinds of challenges those present. And if we can get more education to people when they're younger, it will help them carry that forward, and the children will also, bring that home and talk to their families and so forth. I know I just from my own life, my daughter went through a program like that when she was in school, and a number of years later, as an adult, we were discussing a building and a person we were going to go and visit. And she was telling me how accommodating the building was. And I said, oh, does this person have a disability? And she said, no, she doesn't have a disability. She just uses a wheelchair. So, it's that kind of thinking that we're all in this together. We did reach out to the Mass Commission on Deaf and Hard of Hearing to get some consultation from them that we can share with the hearing loss group that is, urging the town to make some changes so that meetings are more accessible for them. The consultant from the MCDHH said that he was disappointed to know that Concord only has $5,000 a year in its budget for all accommodations, which seems to be a way too small a number. We also visited a business on Sudbury Road where we had gotten a parking complaint from an individual who lives in Concord, and we're reaching out to that business. It's pretty easy to resolve with just painting a handicap parking spot next to the ramp that they have there. So that's been our business in November. In December, we'll be looking at the plans for the White Pond construction project.
Thank you. Thank you, Jean. You had quite a bit on your agenda there. Edward, good morning.
Good morning. Ed Nardi on behalf of the NRC. Nothing significant to report. Business as usual, and in large part thanks to the staff that does such a good job in preparing the commissioners for the hearings. So thank you.
Okay, good. Clarice. Okay, Kristen.
Good morning. This is Kristen Ferguson with the Planning Board. Sorry, I'm trying to get over the sun here. We have a full committee. There are two items that the board has been discussing recently, two subdivisions, both quite unique and interesting, relevant to the folks on this call and their boards. One of the subdivisions is on the Sudbury Concord line. So there's some interpretation questions of the bylaw itself and what the planning board's jurisdiction is, as well as logistical issues for getting utilities to that site. So we'll be deliberating that in future meetings. And then the other one is the Center and Main subdivision, which there's been a lot of discussion about, in particular about the suitability of the site and the preservation of natural features, which has to do with both large trees and among other things, and also historic spots. So I just wanted to kind of bring that up. I know that Historic District Commission had quite a while ago weighed in on the home there that is to be torn down. So just wanted to let folks on the line know that we are still deliberating that subdivision.
Thank you. Let's see here. Is there anyone I've missed that would like to speak? Eric, did we hear from you? I don't think so. Eric?
Thanks, Eric, for the Tax Relief Committee. Very short report. I'm just happy to say that this is the week that letters will go out to citizens asking for contributions to the tax relief fund that provides money for Concord residents who are financially stressed, helps with their property tax. It's mean tested and all. Our plan, our practice is every second year that letter goes out to the whole town, to all registered voters. But in the alternative years, to save finances, it goes only to donors in the previous year. So this is a year of a small mailing comparatively between the two, but that goes out this week.
And
Thank
Eric,
you.
Eric, is it, I believe you mentioned last time that it's both for tax relief and Hugh Cargill?
Oh, thank you. Yes, the in the same envelope, one side is an appeal from the Tax Relief Committee, and if you flip the paper over, is a wonderful letter on the back side from the Hugh Cargill Trust, also asking for donations to that. And Hugh Cargill supports all sorts of financial needs, from utilities to medical to whatever, whereas the tax relief fund is only for tax relief. So both will be soliciting in the same envelope, and donors are requested to send two checks, or if they're sending one, indicate which one of the two funds. If you send a check without indicating the amount of the donation, would be split 50-50 between the two funds.
Thank you. We'll look for that mailing. Is there anyone else that I've would like to speak that I haven't called on? If not, I'll again just remind everybody, since some of you joined after my initial comments, we're aware of all the vacancies. We need your help, and we will continue to work on that. The select board is reviewing process and recruitment strategies, but it is a challenge. We need you to work out to groups maybe that you don't normally reach out to in terms of filling those vacancies. In conjunction with that, it's helpful to review the charge, as you know, and see what was listed in terms of membership requirements for your particular committee. And I know I've had to go back and look at a couple myself where I thought I knew, and then I was reminded when I went back and read the charge. The other thing is that for some of you, you may not have received this, but your chair would have received communication this last week, 2 different documents about the open meeting law, one pre-COVID and one post-COVID that the state has released. And it would be helpful if everyone can review that with their committees, particularly paying attention to the quorum issue, which is based on the total membership of your committee, not the total number that have been appointed. And so that's one aspect of it. And so please review that. So I'll wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving, and we'll see you next month. Thanks for all you're doing.
Thanks, Linda.
Thank you, Linda.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Linda.
Thanks, Linda.